How come you're so skinny, Mama? Did you just lose a third of your body weight? Is that why you look like a vegan who's also really into keto? Veganism just makes me more socially aware, globally, and keto is just all about self-care. No, I'm just kidding. She just laid a clutch of eggs. Welcome to the Green Room. I'm Bob Bledsoe. This is Freya. She's checking out the sign there behind me. Freya just laid some eggs, and that's significant because this is my first year breeding ball pythons, and Freya's the first to lay, so this is obviously my first clutch of eggs ever in the history of the universe. So I'm very excited about it. They're due to hatch in 55 to 60 days-ish, probably 2 or 3 weeks before that, based on when this video ends up coming out. So anyway, I'm very excited. Say hello to my brother Kent, our cameraman there. Kent, baby snake eggs. Do not like. They're tiny, tiny man-eaters. Ball pythons do not eat people. You're not a scientist. Can I name one after you? Gross, no, that would be so rude. Just wait till they hatch. And go on a neighborhood rampage. So here's what happened. I took some B-roll, but I was all excited and nervous, so it's not good, but I'll show it anyway. I had been in Utah for 6 days, and I came home to these eggs. So I was nervous because I didn't know how long she had been sitting on them, but I had somebody coming in to check, or somebody that came in once on day 3 when I was gone, to change waters and check on the snakes. And I don't think she had laid at that point, because the person that I had coming in would have probably seen that. But when I opened the enclosure, I noticed that she was curled up in a beehive instead of a cinnamon roll, and that told me that there are probably eggs under there. And there were. She laid 7 beautiful eggs, no slugs. I candled them all, and they're all good eggs. She's back on food at this point, where I'm filming this, I don't know, a week later or so. And she's back on food, and she's gonna tighten around my neck. We'll see how this goes. But she did fantastic. And so when I pulled her off, those eggs, I'm guessing that she laid probably within 24 to 48 hours, because the eggs were still fairly pliable, and I think somebody that's maybe really good at separating eggs and really wanted to could have separated them, but I didn't want to mess with it. I tried a little bit, and there was just more give than I wanted, and she laid a perfect circle that fit right into my egg box without touching the sides. So going in just like she laid them was just fine. So let me tell you how I decided to set up my egg box. And please remember, this is not a how to breed ball pythons or to hatch eggs, because being my first time, I'm not trying to teach you how to do it. I'm just telling you, based on my research, what I decided was going to work best for me and what I'm doing. So I'm using a little Sterilite container with Easy Hatch tray, and I'm using vermiculite and water. I'm weighing out the vermiculite and putting basically equal parts water, but a little bit more than, because I'm using the Easy Hatch tray so the eggs aren't sitting down in the water. And I want to make sure that humidity stays. And I'm also not sealing the tub. I'm not using cling wrap like a lot of people do, and I've put 2 holes in the tub to allow for a little bit of airflow. And the reason, I mean, I think that that's good. I think you can do it either way, probably, because people are successful either way, either completely sealing the tub or not. The reason I chose not to is there's a chance that I'll be out of town when those eggs hatch, just like I was out of town when they were laid. And I want to just make sure that those babies aren't breathing just stagnant air. So I want a little bit of airflow in there. That Easy Hatch tray, normally you would separate the eggs and put them individually into the thing. Since I couldn't separate the eggs, they're doing just fine. Set there just as they laid. All of them are upright, and they'll do great just sitting on top of the Easy Hatch tray like that. I put a Govee thermometer, hygrometer in there. That's probably overkill, but since it's my first clutch, I really want to monitor the humidity. I know that my temps are good because I have a Govee just in the incubator itself, but I want to monitor that humidity in the egg box since it's not sealed. If it dips down to 90 or below, I'll know to add water. So that's what I'm doing there. Probably in years to come, I won't have a Govee thermometer, hygrometer in every egg box because I'll know more about what I'm doing, but I really want to monitor it this season. I put Freya back in her enclosure because I don't want her to be like, I just laid eggs 2 days ago and now he's having me co-host a YouTube video with him. So she's back and relaxing. Anyway, I used a Sea Serpent's Hotbox incubator, and I went to take B-roll of this just now, by the way, and I turned on the light of the incubator. They've got a light in there, which is really cool. You can check on your eggs without having to open the incubator. But when I flipped on the light, I looked at the level of vermiculite that I used in the box, and I didn't like it. I was like, that's not very much vermiculite. This thing's going to dry out. So I pulled the box out, added more vermiculite. Now they're up a little bit higher, and added more water too, obviously. But, you know, I don't want to overthink this, and I also don't want to be going into the tubs all the time and, you know, opening them and stuff like that. But I also want to do it right. So I added the vermiculite and water, and I think that's it. I won't have to go into that tub unless maybe a week or two before the eggs hatch. So leaving them alone. After doing a bunch of research on incubators, I think that the Sea Serpent's Hotbox incubator is probably the best one on the market. And I chose to buy one because I didn't want to take any chances. You can make them pretty easily and very cheaply out of an old refrigerator or a soda cooler that's in, stores or whatever. I spent a little extra money on a commercial incubator because I didn't want to take any chances on my first ball python clutches. I didn't want to be 2 months down the road going, well, I put my heat tape in wrong and it messed up my temps. And I think that's why all them snakes came out with fingers. So my thermostat on my incubator is set to 89, and it's about 88.5 inside the incubator, and it's about 87.5 inside the tub. So I think that's fairly low. It's within the range, but it's on the low end of the range, I think, for incubating eggs. And it might take them more than 55 days to pip. I think it might take a little bit longer because of that, but I think it's probably safer to cook them slow and low rather than crank up the heat a couple degrees and risk having them a little bit too warm. So, for me, this was all about doing a ton of research, finding out how a bunch of different people do it, and successful people do it, and figuring out what I think is going to work best for me. For instance, I chose to not use cling wrap and to poke holes in each sides of the tub because for me, I'm out of town a lot and they might pip when I'm out of town. So that's why that I think is going to work best for me. So I'm going to, do this as simply as possible. I think a lot of people maybe overcomplicate it. It's not that complicated of a process. So I'm going to do it simple, and I will make adjustments if needed next year. Some of you are only here for Kent's Corner, but I'm happy to oblige. Let's cut to Kent's Corner. Hi, I'm Kent, and welcome to my corner. Let me tell you why this sucks. First of all, breeding deadly animals is probably illegal. Hang on a second. Hi, Mom. Did you know that Bob is having babies? No, not him. The snakes. I don't even know why I have to work here anymore, Mom. I've applied to other jobs. Radio Shack, Blockbuster Video, Sears. Back in 1994, remember? They all said no. Plus, I applied to be Lisa Left Eye Lopez's personal assistant, so... That wasn't fan mail, Mom. That was a TLC job application. It wasn't stalking. Mom, God, I have to go. Thank you for watching Kent's Corner. I don't want no scrubs. A scrub is a guy who thinks he's fly and is also known as a buster. Always talking about what he wants and just sits on his broke ass. Really informative video, Kent. That was very professional. Mom called. We know. So I talked about this in another video, but I'll mention it again. There were 2 males that were in with Freya, so we don't know who's going to pop out of this clutch. She had locked with the inspector several times early on in the season, or for most of the season, and then she stopped. And at that point, Ron was out of quarantine, and he was up to size to be a breeding male. When I purchased Ron, I didn't think he was going to be that big, but he came in bigger than I expected. And so I put him in as a backup male. I probably didn't need to do that. I could have kept putting the inspector in, and I think that the locks would have continued. But I realized that if Ron's ready to breed, I'd love to have Ron's genetics with Freya's genetics, just to have something different. Otherwise, if I have 3 clutches this year, I'm pairing the inspector with just 3 females. He's banana. So I'm going to have 3 clutches of probably all the males in those clutches are going to be banana. And I don't need that many bananas. So I thought, well, we'll have some diversity if I throw Ron in there. So what I think the mix is going to be, and it could go either way, but the reason I think it's probably going to be Ron's is because he was the last one to lock with her before her ovulation. And so I think chances are that she'll use that DNA. So Ron is Inchy, Spot Nose, Asphalt, which is going to be really cool. And Freya is Calico, Extreme Gene, Orange Dream. So we've got 6 genes in the mix, and it could get difficult to tell what's in those snakes, especially Asphalt. And Asphalt, I'm going to want to know if there's Asphalt in one of these babies, and that might be a tough one, especially if it's mixed with Calico. But I'm sure there are people who are way better than me at identifying these genes in babies, and I can probably get some help. I've had messages from a number of people for the last couple of months asking if I have babies that are available and when will I have babies available, things like that. And what I've been telling people is that I'll start a waiting list once I have eggs on the ground. And now I have eggs on the ground, so I will start a waiting list. You can email me at greenroompythons@gmail.com, or you can message me on Instagram, or you can find me on Facebook, whatever. Instagram or email is probably the best. But let me know who you are and give me some sort of contact information, an email or a phone number, something like that. And if you're looking for something specific as far as gender or as far as genetics, right now we only have these babies on the ground, and the genetics that I just mentioned are what I think they're going to be, but it could potentially be, instead of Ron, it could be like Banana, Inchy, Orange Dream, possible Fire that are in the inspector. But anyway, tell me, what genetics you might want. I definitely will have some available. I'm not keeping all 7 of these babies for sure. And I also don't think that I'm going to be flooded with a waiting list. Like, I don't think it's going to be huge, but if you're really interested in one of Freya's babies, let me know now. That way you'll have a pick of the litter. I'll go from the first person on the waiting list down the line. So that's a good way to do it. And I also think that not everybody, I'm not taking deposits or anything, so I don't think that everybody on the waiting list will end up eventually buying, because somebody will be interested, and then at the point that I'm ready to sell the babies, I've decided which ones to sell, they may have already gotten their snake. The cool thing about the pairing that I'm doing with Freya, with either one of these males, is that I'm not working on a recessive project right now. My recessive stuff won't be ready to even pair until like the 22-23 season. I'll be then working with visual pieds and clowns and ultramel. But these are all incomplete dominant and dominant genes, and that means that, especially with 6 potential genes in the mix, and maybe even more with the inspector, it'll make some really cool, diverse-looking snakes, but they won't be $1 billion because they're all incomplete dominant and dominant genes. Unless they come out with fingers. That's it. That's the update. This might end up being a short video today. I mean, we'll see in the edit, but I think this might be a short one, actually. Anyway, hit the like button if you, in fact, liked it, or the dislike button if you didn't. But if you didn't like it, you're not watching at this point anyway. But hit either one of those buttons, whatever you want. And, if you are enjoying these videos, don't forget to be subscribed to the channel, because that'll help you. And the likes help me. I think the subscriptions probably help me too. But they help the algorithm for YouTube to know to push these videos out to other people. So it is really helpful to hit that like button. Why am I talking so long about that? Thanks for watching. I still got all them snakes with fingers for sale. I'm slashing the price once again. I don't know why nobody wants them. You could teach them how to point at stuff. I want to apologize to the entire southern hemisphere of the United States. This is just how the accent came out for this character.